Winston Churchill is arguably the most famous man in recent British history. During a career spanning 65 years, he became a national hero. And in 2002, a BBC poll voted him the greatest Briton of all time. But Churchill's success didn't come from nowhere. He was a member of one of the wealthiest and most powerful families in the country, the Spencer Churchills, and he was born here, in Blenheim Palace. In 1702, Winston's ancestor, John Churchill, became the first Duke of Marlborough. He was a powerful man and an excellent soldier, and as a general in the English army, he won several key battles across Europe, including the Battle of Blenheim in 1704. If he hadn't, the area around here could have looked quite different today. Queen Anne, who was very close to the Duke's wife Sarah Churchill, rewarded him with this land in the Oxfordshire countryside and ordered that a magnificent house be built to honour his victory. Today, this English Baroque masterpiece still pays tribute to John Churchill's military success. From English lions crushing French cockerels to the Duke's Roman statue on the Column of Victory, Blenheim is more of a monument than a house. Since John Churchill's death, his descendants have continued to live here. In 1857, John Spencer Churchill, Winston's paternal grandfather, became the 7th Duke of Marlborough and took over the house. John Spencer Churchill was an excellent politician. He represented the local area as an MP before entering the House of Lords when he became Duke. He served as the Lord Lieutenant of Ireland from 1876 to 1880. Many thought he could even have become Prime Minister if he hadn't died in 1883 at the age of 61. His eldest son, George Spencer Churchill, became the 8th Duke, so his other sons, including Winston's father Randolph, had to pursue a different career path. Randolph became one of the most prominent politicians of the time, serving as Chancellor of the Exchequer and leader of the House of Commons. He married the American-born Jenny Jerome, daughter of a New York financier, and the couple had 2 children, Winston and John. Randolph still spent a lot of time at Blenheim Palace. It was here, in this room, that Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill was born on the 30th of November 1874. Many of Winston's early years were spent at Blenheim, and it was here that he first learned about the historic dynasty which he belonged to. If Winston Churchill hadn't been born into such a political family, his life could have been very different. While he was never very close to his father, he looked up to him, and whenever Randolph had colleagues to visit, he would try to join in their conversations. This enabled Winston to meet some of the greatest speakers of the time. In many ways, Winston took after his father, who died in 1895 at the age of 45. He developed a love for politics and public speaking, and after working as both a soldier and war correspondent, he became a Member of Parliament in 1900. He soon earned a reputation as a gifted orator and enjoyed a long and eventful political career. However, the combative Churchill would probably have never become Prime Minister if it weren't for the outbreak of the Second World War. Suddenly, the country needed somebody who could stand up to the enemy. He was the right man for the job, and throughout the war he made a number of historic speeches that have since echoed through history. Winston Churchill died on the 24th of January 1965. He's buried here, near his parents, in St Martin's Church in Blaydon, just 2 miles from his birthplace in Blenheim Palace and in the traditional burial ground of the Spencer Churchills. After Winston's death, the family continued to play an important role in British life. His children and grandchildren became politicians and business leaders. His granddaughter, Arabella Churchill, even helped start the famous Glastonbury Festival. and Princess Diana was a distant relative. During his lifetime, Winston Churchill led Britain to victory during the Second World War. He served for 2 terms as Prime Minister and won the Nobel Prize for Literature. He led an incredible life and is remembered as one of history's greatest leaders. But if he hadn't been born into such a powerful family, who knows? History could have been very different.